So I just did like this big long ass drawing video thing. But Visual Studio is just such a piece of fucking shit. That app sucks so bad. Pretty much Windows and all apps related to Windows just sucks complete shit. Technology is fucked. That's how I know that this world's going to hell. Everything we create is actually getting worse. We now feel like planned obsolescence is a virtue in reality. And if you think about it, if you look at movies, if you look at music, the quality, the abilities are just... it's a devolution. It's just shit. It's happening to remind us that this world is dynamic. It's not a static. Nostalgia is a spirit that you carry forward, but you got to bring it to realization, to reality. So let me surmise what I was talking about quick. In this world, I'm not very smart. I can't learn things that have no meaning to me. If I don't feel the value, it doesn't exist. It's just words. I can memorize it to pass a test, to communicate with other people, but there's no meaning in memorization, mimicry. So I spoke of Pluto in the 12th, that's what I got. If you're interested in knowing what Pluto is, get Jeffrey Wolf Green's book, Pluto. He's got a few books on Pluto, but that one's good. 12th house Pluto is, he defined it better than anyone I've ever read. He put words to feelings I had in a way no one else ever did. So he was channeling something. But to your right is the ocean of fire, to your left is the ocean of void. All the power is in the right here. You fall into that fire and you become it. So you become that power. It can flow through you. You can create in this world. You can ride the passion. You can become possessed. You can become part of the shit show at the highest level. But you give the authenticity of yourself to what that is. You empower that ocean. Then to the left is the nothing, the void, the bog of no return. You fall into it and you lose everything, yourself included. And whatever you might bring back is unrelatable. So I walk the line here. That's this middle part in the yin-yang symbol. I forget the actual name of it. I don't use it that often, so I don't remember it. But we all walk the line between possession of self and possession of the world. And what the word possession means is you think you own it, but it owns you. Your possessions possess you. Your image possesses you. Your ego, your relation to people and things in this world, it all possesses you. Now I was born knowing that. The world reminded me. Have you ever noticed when you learn things in life, it feels like you're just remembering them? So I walk this line. I'm not going to fall into the void of nothing. At least I'm not going to willingly do so. Unless something possesses me. And I'm not going to fall into the ocean of fire. That's the sacrifice to the cube here. And what is the cube? It's the cultural conditioning. We've got the tyrant, we've got the victim. We've all been there. We've got the savior, we got the martyr. We've all been there. Which little void are you trying to fill through those roles here? Because we're this round peg in a square hole. We're trying to figure out what the fuck this all is and who we are in relation to it. And so we've got this micro down here. This is the subjective experience. This is the micro to the macro up here. Objective experience. The macro feels more like oppression, but it's just change. The micro feels like possession, but it's just change as well. If you've read the Iliad, if you've went to movies, if you've read any book, essentially, you live those roles, you feel the character. The emotions live through us. Emotions are beings. They're a part of reality, essentially. They're growing with us. So you are expressing psyche in your life. You're learning through it, with it. It's you, but it isn't you. Sometimes you're enraged, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you are... You name it. It's there. So when you are possessed by the emotion, you are actually gifted by the divine, by the gods, by the planets, by whatever you want to call it, to either use that, align yourself with the tension and put it to form, or to be put to form through that tension. We're not always weary enough to wear it and be aware of it. And what is that awareness? It's the learning so that you can release, essentially. It's that catch-22 of life. So we've got the micro to macro and the macro to micro. In the middle of all that, we have consensus reality, we have cultural conditioning, we have societies, we have all the Capricornian stuff we create on this river of life in between. And we try to staticize it, we try to put a static in place, an ideal. Think of the Abrahamic religions. Think of science. Think of the utopian dream. Think of all these things, you know. Essentially, all knowledge kills you. This is why in Taoism, ignorance is the highest virtue. You know, when I was in school, I was stupid. I thought I was retarded. I couldn't learn anything. Couldn't pay attention. I just memorized things. That's how I passed. Some people call it ADHD, probably. I never got tested for this stuff. Autism, Asperger's, all these different things. It's like those distinctions are meant to be placeholders. You're a dynamic being, you know. When you break up the magic of life into little increments and you try and make sense of those increments, you castrate the meaning. You conform into the static with which consensus reality can gravitate towards and allow a God, a narration of an icon, an expression, externalizing your power. And that's the Nag Hammadi bullshit. The static, the false God creating a copy of reality, trying to capture others in the power, the gravity of their beliefs. And when you are conforming, that's when the viruses and the demons rise within you. The darkness, the shadow becomes the lifeblood of what that static is. Because that feeds on you in order to power this ideal. So you sacrifice yourself to the tyrant, and then you try and find where you can be a savior, and you try and martyr yourself for others. And it's just this... it's a shit show. But we learn through that, you become weary of wearing it, and then you become aware and you release, because that's what learning is. Then you try and you don't try, you just naturally fall into the wu-wei thing. At least that's what I feel. So the world's trying to become static, but not in a way that we can relate to. It's only in a way that certain people that are completely possessed can relate to. But that's the need. That's if you look at this, it looks like Aquarius here, the sign of Aquarius. So you've got the power, the waters of Aquarius raining down to the oppression, to the pressure of existence. And that pressure either washes you away or it causes you to stand in your own power, and you rise through that. You individuate from the sheep herd. You grow horns. You become Satan. You become the fallen one, Lucifer. The light falls to earth so that it may rise in relation to the shit show. Because everything became dark out there, it had to be cultivated within you, the light, the fire. So that's what Aquarius is to me. That's what Uranus is. That's what these times are. So if you look at this little sine wave thing I made, this looks kind of like the Aquarian energies here. And in between is the river of life. And then we've got all these little static mountains being crafted through the Capricornian condensation of ideal. Putting form to function, which is a beautiful thing. I love that. But I don't love it at the expense of nature, of the natural flow of life. So those things break, they have to break. And that's what these times are. You put the tension to form, or the form is put to you through the tension outside. So we're a round peg in a square hole. The gaps, that's, you don't have to fill in the gaps. The gaps are there to remind you that you aren't the form. And you can shrink into the absolute authentic expression of yourself, and you fall through that fucking cube so that you can create new expression in this world, because that's what it needs now. If you look at the mimicry of the world, you can see the devolution. The technology sucks, music sucks, movies suck, science sucks, spirituality is bullshit. Everything is just a gimmick. The truth can only be found through your experiences, but you got to get to the core of who you are in order to see what it is. Otherwise, you're hung up on the nostalgia of mimicry, of fakeness, of a memory that only lived at a time when you were receptive to it. You got to create new spirit, new nostalgia, new progeny. That's what these times are telling us, I feel. Alright, so that's what I tried to say in the other video, but let's see if this one works. So thanks for watching, listening, and being.